All right, the fun stuff, the playoffs. Who is actually who can? I think because Drinkowitz started this conversation when he was talking about the percentages with the NFL versus college. He's like, hey, we should have whatever 30-something teams that should make the playoffs. But when you really break it down and look at who can make the playoffs, that, like you said, you're probably getting around 30. I've got we've kind of both looked at this independently. And then also I saw Heather Dinich with ESPN took our idea, like we did this well before that she put that out. But her list with ESPN using their all-state playoff predictor, they had 32 that they can make. There's probably some that they have that we don't have. I know there was 3 that they had that I didn't. And then there's some that we obviously have there. So I guess, do you want to go like we'll go conference by conference and start and see if there's commonalities here, and then we'll talk about where we differ.
Yeah, let's start in the SEC.
All right. 16 total teams.
I think this league has the most. That's why I said start with. I think the SEC has the most. Did you have the most people you think you could make the playoffs?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why I say start there. That's the top tier. Do we start by just knocking off kind of the ones that everybody's going to have? I mean,
I think so. I think there's 3.
Here's one thing first. One thing first. If you did this exercise several years ago when there was 4, and then before that when there was 2, the list was like every year I did this on game day and all this stuff. The list was like you were choosing between 4 teams, 4 to 6 teams, and one like, who's one craziness? Like if everything went wacky. And that's where it's kind of cool. I think not only have we spread the talent out, got more competitive, people are going to different spots, NIL transfer portal, but now I think because of competitive balance, you also have the ability for more teams to make it, which is cool because I want to watch the last weekends of college football and I want them all to matter. I don't want them to be in a spot where it's like, okay, they can lose these next 2. Like almost like, you could sit in the NFL, you see where you literally sit for a couple weeks and don't play games. Like I don't want to get to that point, but it's pretty cool having so many. But you want to take Texas, UGA, and Bama out of the mix? Is that the 3 you want to take out?
I think those are the 3. We can. Speaking to Georgia first, though, and real quick, did you see who happened to make an appearance at UGA this weekend?
Yeah, Chucky.
Coach Gruden made an appearance. So, what do you think those conversations were like, or what's your sort of most fun interaction you have with Gruden?
Well, first of all, those two are cut from a similar cloth. Like Gruden is all gas, no brakes, like all football, and I think obviously Kirby is. The cool thing about them that would be fun in a room is one's offense, one's defense, and the interaction back and forth would be fantastic to listen to. But I think with Kirby's messaging, like if you're listening to Kirby, like he's trying to get the fire, the passion, the energy, right? Like he's trying to fire those things out of his kids. Chucky will do that.
I wanted to sign players that had it. All my coaches had to have it. Don't be afraid to showcase your emotion, man. Get excited for the guy next to you.
Like Gruden's going to walk in there and he's going to light it on fire. And I saw a little bit of the clip of that, actually. I don't look at many articles, but I do like to look at that kind of stuff. And just listening to him talk, and he always speaks with such conviction and such he's a great motivator. Like he's a coach, and you can see it runs through him. And he's always been a passionate coach. And listen, he went through a rough patch, right? Like in a different stretch and getting fired from the NFL and all the stuff that went into it. But I like that we're getting to see Gruden in his element because this is something I think he was created to do. I mean, he's just created to talk ball and fire people up. Like I think that's a strength of his, obviously.
He exudes passion for the game of football, unlike many. Like he's sort of top of that list. Did you ever have any like interactions with him, whether it be sort of NFL and or
NFL
media
and media? I've texted him a bunch especially during the hard times because he's went through some stuff, man, with all the emails and all the stuff that went public with his stuff. It wasn't the most trying time, which is I always try to reach out to guys like that when they're in those times and try to make them realize that people still care. Like people still cheering for you. And this is hard, but you'll get through these rough patches. And obviously, not surprisingly, he did. And he's still him. And you watch him. You can watch him anytime you want now, which is which is cool. He'll break down the game 6 ways to Sunday and have a board of 6,000 things to think about, which is really interesting. All right, who's on your next tier?
The same ones that we've kind of looked at. I mean, I guess Bama's included in that list, but the same ones at the end of the year last year. But Ole Miss, South Carolina, LSU are the next sort of three, I think, that are kind of the
Ole Miss, South Carolina, and who?
LSU.
Okay. I mean, you don't have Tennessee on that next list of being able to do it?
I mean,
I love their schedule, bro. I love their schedule.
That's one of those ones where you want to. I just want to see what it looks like for them from an offensive standpoint. To where can the defense? You very much believe in the defense, and I think they will be good, really good defensively. But can you have something from your offense and not turn the ball over? Let's see that first, I think. But I guess they should be in that next tier.
I thought they were, and then I would even put A&M in that next tier too, because I think A&M. I think the people are going to realize about A&M. I think their offense is going to be a problem this year because you look across the line of scrimmage on that O-line, like they got a lot of bodies, a lot of girth. They got Bell at running back who's going to dot your eyeballs. They got a QB that can absolutely fly and can throw the football. They've built it with weapons, I think, that are quick, elusive, can add the jet sweep component, and the +1 in the running game, I think, with Marcel Reed is going to be a big deal, and it's going to be very difficult. So I had A&M on that tier as well with those teams that you named.
Well, one thing I did, though, when I was looking at it is I didn't necessarily put them in tier. So looking down my list, I was just kind of reading the ones that I did. But the thing that you mentioned there was, and it will come back to something that we've talked about already with a couple other teams, where you were sort of very high on Notre Dame's running back room, best in the country. And then also, the Penn State sort of had those two guys with Singleton and Allen there. But if you look at teams that have two running backs that are coming back, or at least added to their roster, who had an 80.0 higher rushing grade, PFF rush grade, there's 5 teams. And a couple of them you wouldn't think about. A&M is one of those teams with Daniels and Moss. And then you also got
such a stud.
And the other one is Baylor with Pendergrass and Washington. But then another one that might not really think about is Georgia. Georgia actually, with McCray transferring in from Illinois, plus Nate Frazier, like they are part of that 5 groups that have multiple running backs that can be sort of potentially really, really good for their team.
And I think McCray's a guy that for Georgia could be a physical element that you welcome. And we like the short yardage that was not as great as years past. The offensive line is going to be very new inside. So is that a guy that can hammer away? And then you've got Frazier, who's everybody thinks Nate Frazier's an elite talent. Nobody says he can't run the football. Nobody says he can't make big plays. But everybody gonna say that he's put the ball on the ground a lot. And when you put the ball on the ground a lot, you don't play a lot. Like, that's pretty simple for most coaches, obviously, across the country. I wouldn't have known that with McCray. I wouldn't have known that with Baylor. Obviously, with Penn State, Notre Dame. And listen, Penn State fans, you have a legit gripe with my debate. You have a legit gripe. I am here for debate. I am here for all the discussion we want about all those different things. Your running back room with Allen and Singleton, you have 2 starters. You have 2 guys that could play for almost any team in the country. You have a complement of a 1 and 2 because Allen obviously can be the hammer. He's rushed for over 2K. He can be physical. And Singleton has a little bit more of the lightning, more of the receiving. Like, they're a great duo. They're great backs. The difference to me is Jeremiah Love is the best back, period. And the difference for me, too, is when you go to the other guys, I think having the other guys with Pierce and having Williams in the running back spot, I think you have more variety. You have 3 guys that can do different things. Penn State's running back room is elite. It's elite of elite.
Yep.
I'll still take Notre Dame's over Penn State's. And that's not an insult. That's not an insult, but it's the truth, okay?
No. By the way, we've gone through the SEC, and we're at half of the conference.
Okay, so does that mean we need to go faster?
No,
okay.
That doesn't mean we need to go faster at all. But
I have more names. You have more too, right?
I have definitely more names. Yes.
Okay. You want me to go?
You can go because I think I got more
Auburn.
than you.
I got Auburn.
Yep.
I got OU.
Yep.
And I got Florida. And then I have one more that with their schedule, I think they have a chance too, not leaving their state very much, Missouri. I think Missouri still has a chance because I think their record will be really solid. And again, there's not much of a better schedule in the country than Missouri football. It's pretty dang good, bro.
Yep. They stay at home through like mid-October in terms of that. But Oklahoma is one you're seeing a lot of hype about just in terms of
we've been on them for a while.
Yes. And you want to see it. You get the Michigan game early, which might end up being a kind of differentiator game in terms of who potentially gets a tight playoff spot. But they can, any of those teams, if they get the right sort of bounces to me, Auburn, Oklahoma, Florida, even Missouri to that extent.
We're not saying they're going to make the playoffs. We're saying that they're in they'll be able to maybe put themselves in a position if things go right to be there. And that's a lot of teams. Did you have any more?
I had one more, and you're probably going to be a little shocked by this one. There's a world where Vandy could potentially be a playoff team. And the reason and yes, would I pick that in a million years? No, I would never, ever pick that. But Clark Lee talked about it. All the one-score games they had, they were that close to being 10-2 a year ago. If they take care of their business, by the way, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. But could they?
Wait a minute. If it's not going to happen, and then you say, could they? Like, those don't work. Those are mutually exclusive.
Okay. I think
if my aunt had balls, she'd be my
only
uncle.
Losses are by the way, you look at their schedule. It's teams they beat a year ago. And what if they go 10-2 and their only losses are at Alabama and at Texas?
All right, listen.
Not going to happen, but
you're saying it could happen.
0.1%. That's 0.1% chance.
Listen, I love what you're doing there. And listen, Vanderbilt had a great season. This is also a team that I think they won like 6 games the past 3 years. They went 5-5 in one-score games, I think, which is, Brent, that's good. They're not going to do that again. Like that usually will even out. The talent will even out. Like they obviously beat up on Alabama, which was the biggest thing of their season. They beat Alabama and Auburn, which is a kind of a miracle. Don't think that's ever going to happen probably in the season again. I'm not with you on Vanderbilt. I love Pavia. I'm not even putting them on my fringe. Like that.
Okay.
No, I'm out. You got anybody else in the SEC? Please tell me you don't have anybody else, for God's sakes, because you just put Vandy in there. Okay.
No. Non-zero chance. That was the only reason I included them, because to me there's a non-zero chance.
Listen, I like including those teams on the fringe. I have no problem with that.